Hey everybody, this is Tony with Class Eagles. Hope you're having a great day. As players are getting back to training, I wanted to talk about a very important aspect of players participating in training sessions and their approach. One thing that I see a lot through my time on the field with teams I coach or players I train is that often players show up to practice, and then sometimes that's where it stops. They are supposed to be there, they show up, they're prepared, and they'll go through the activities and do the things that coaches ask. But something that I constantly ask players is, are you really training? Are you really putting forth your best effort to get better? Because that's why you're there. You're trying there to improve. I see it so often where players are just going through the activities, maybe even working hard, they're trying to move at speed, but they're not really stopping and really thinking about what they're trying to get better at. They're allowing themselves to play a pass in a way that they know that they shouldn't. They're not really thinking about improving their technique. They're not thinking about how they're moving on and off the ball. They're there, they're doing what the coach asked them to do, but they're not really focused on getting better. So when working with players, it's very important that when they're at practice, it's very clear on what they're trying to do, what they're trying to improve on. And this is working with the player's mentality a lot, not just going through an activity because the coach is telling you to play the ball here or run here, but think about how it relates back to the game and what are you really trying to get better at. One thing, as players aren't still competing, is very important is that when they step on the field to practice, they have to put their mindset in a way that they are in the middle of a game with everything they're doing. There's no on and off switch for that. They can't turn it on 1 second and decide for this activity I'm gonna give it that type of effort and that type of focus, like I'm in the middle of a match, and then the next activity I'm gonna turn it off. It's not what great competitors do. And if you're very serious as a player in terms of trying to get better and improve your skills so you can get on the field and do more, when you're in training, every single thing you do, you have to approach it in that way, in a way that I'm going to get better at this. I'm not just doing this because the coach asked. Being at practice doesn't help you get better. Being at practice and really focusing on and working on your craft and paying attention to those details to get better, that's what helps you. That's that professional mindset. That's what great players do when they train. And so that's something that, when players are back on the field and they're practicing now, they have to constantly do. They have to put themselves in the match. They have to think about what they're trying to get better at. I see it all the time, on something just as basic when players are passing the ball back and forth to each other over and over again. They're reaching, they're rushing, they're not getting a quality pass that's accurate to their teammate with no pressure on them at all. So when I stop and really kind of point that out for them and really show them, why do we miss that pass? Is it because we do not know how to hit the ball properly? Do we not know, how to properly, step into the pass and follow through? And for most of the players, they really understand that aspect. If they don't, then we work on it. But most of them really understand how to do some of these fundamental things. But in training, they don't allow themselves to focus on it. They allow the mind to wander. They allow themselves to kind of go through the motion until the next thing the coach asks them to do. They're not hyper focused on really improving on those areas and doing each and every single thing they do at the best of their ability. They'll make mistakes, which is not a problem, but we want to see players really putting forth that effort in everything they do. And it's rare. There's only a handful of players I can point to that, every time they step on the field, that is how they train without question, without any kind of, up and down. It's just they're always turned on all the time. And I use that as an example for every player that I work with and every team I've coached and the teams I work with, that if you're really serious about getting better, that's the mentality you have to have. It's not something you can sometimes work hard in, or some things are more important than others. It's when you step on the field to practice, you're there to practice, to improve. And you deserve that as a player. You deserve to give yourself that full attention, to really think about what you're doing and not just be there. So as we step back on the field and start training, in small groups, eventually with our teams, we have to train in a way that's going to help us be prepared to step back on the field and compete. And the only way you do that is in training, is that you have to put yourself as a player in a match at all times and be doing every activity your coach asks you to do in a way that would work in a manner and in a focus and energy that the game would require. There's no off switch. There's no taking breaks. If you're there to improve and get better, and you want to be able to do things you currently can't do, and be ready when that season starts, that is the only way to train. Okay, it's not about the number of hours, not the amount of practice you go to. It's the quality of the effort and focus of each minute you put in. 30 minutes, hyper focused, a lot of energy, really thinking about your craft and working on it is much better than 2 hours of going through the motion. It's that simple. So you step on the field, you're committed to show up, to be there, make the most out of your time. You owe that to yourself. You're making the commitment to be there. You're making the commitment to be part of the team. Make the commitment to really improve yourself as a player. Okay? Good luck to everyone in the next season as it's coming up, and work hard this summer as we get prepared for fall. All the best.